Sheila was born into poverty, the kind that teaches you early that life is unfair. She grew up in a one-room apartment with leaking roofs and borrowed happiness. While other girls her age talked about vacations, designer bags, and rich boyfriends, Sheila talked about survival. Yet, deep inside her heart, she wanted more than survival. She wanted luxury. She wanted a soft life. And most of all, she wanted respect. Each morning, Sheila would stand in front of a cracked mirror, imagining a different version of herself. One wearing expensive dresses, stepping out of a big car with people whispering her name in admiration. That dream kept her alive, but it also planted a dangerous seed in her heart. She promised herself that poverty would not be her portion forever, no matter what it took. Luck finally smiled on her, or so she thought. Through a distant connection, Sheila got a job in the city as a personal assistant to a very wealthy man. He was known simply as Chief, a man whose name alone opened doors. His office smelled of power and money, and the floors shone like mirrors. On her first day, Sheila felt like she had entered another world. Chief was everything wealth could create: well-dressed, calm, respected, and always busy. He spoke little but commanded attention without trying. To Sheila, he was not just a boss, he was a gate to the life she had always dreamed of. From that very first day, her heart decided that working for him was not enough. She wanted to belong to him. Sheila tried everything she knew. She dressed sharper, smiled longer, walked softer. She laughed at his jokes even when they were not funny. Sometimes she stayed late in the office, hoping he would notice her effort, her body, her presence. But Chief only saw her as what she was, an assistant, nothing more, nothing less. Weeks passed, then months. Sheila watched Chief spend money like water. Business trips, expensive lunches, phone calls about houses and deals worth millions. And each time the thought burned inside her. Why does he not even notice me? She would whisper to herself. Why can't this life be mine? That was when temptation found her. One evening, while scrolling through her phone, Sheila remembered a whispered conversation she once overheard in her neighborhood. A woman they called Mama, a powerful traditionalist, feared and respected. They said she could bend hearts, control desire, and turn rich men into obedient lovers. The thought scared her, but it also excited her. After days of battling with her conscience, Sheila made her decision. She told herself that life had cheated her first, so she was only taking what she deserved. The next Saturday, she covered her face with a scarf and went to the place Mama lived, a quiet compound that felt heavy, like it was breathing secrets. Mama looked at Sheila long before Sheila spoke, as if she already knew her story. With a trembling voice, Sheila poured out her heart about Chief, about money, about her hunger for a better life. She did not care about Chief's family, if he has a wife or not. All she wanted was to be chosen, to be spoiled, to escape poverty. Mama listened quietly, then nodded slowly. Nothing good comes easy, she said in a low voice. If you want his heart, you must be ready to pay the price. Sheila did not ask what the price was. Her eyes were already blinded by dreams of wealth. Mama's eyes hardened. Listen well, she said. This charm will open his eyes to you, but it will not last forever. Every 6 months, you must return for renewal. If you miss it or delay it, the spirit will collect their debt in ways you cannot imagine. Sheila hesitated for a brief moment. The words sounded serious, even dangerous. But then she thought of her empty past and the shining future she wanted. She nodded quickly. I understand, she said. Though deep inside, she did not truly understand at all. The next working day came with a strange heaviness in Sheila's chest. As she prepared for the office, her hand shook more than usual. The small bottle Mama had given her lay hidden inside her handbag, wrapped tightly in a handkerchief. Each time she remembered it was there, her heart raced. Fear and excitement fought inside her like two angry siblings. At the office, everything looked normal, but nothing felt normal to Sheila. She greeted her colleagues with a forced smile and took her seat at her desk. Chief arrived later than usual, calm as always, dressed in a perfectly fitted suit. He walked past her without a glance, and for a moment doubt crept into her mind. What if this doesn't work? What if, she thought. But then she remembered her childhood hunger, the shame of poverty, the cracked mirror, and the dreams she had carried for years. Her doubt hardened into determination. She told herself she had come too far to turn back now. Around midday, Chief asked for a drink, his usual. This was the moment Mama had spoken of. Sheila's heart pounded so loudly she feared others could hear it. As she prepared the drink, she gently opened her handbag, unwrapped the bottle, and poured a few drops into the glass. The liquid dissolved quickly, leaving no trace. She stared at the drink for a few seconds, whispering a silent prayer, not to God, but to luck. She carried the drink to Chief's office with slow steps. Her legs felt weak. Chief took the glass from her without looking up, thanked her absent-mindedly, and drank it. Just like that. No thunder, no drama. Sheila returned to her desk feeling foolish. Is that it? She wondered. But before the end of the day, something happened. Chief called her back into his office, not for work, but to ask how her day was going. He looked at her longer than usual, his eyes lingering in a way they never had before. Sheila felt a strange heat crawl up her skin. When she spoke, her voice sounded softer, even to her own ears. Over the next few days, the change became impossible to ignore. Chief began to notice things, her perfume, her smile, the way she walked. He complimented her work more often, asked her personal questions, and sometimes called her late at night under the excuse of business. Sheila's heart danced. Mama's charm was working. Soon, their relationship crossed a line Sheila had once only dreamt about. Chief started taking her out, quiet dinners, private lounges, weekend trips disguised as business meetings. He bought her expensive clothes and jewelry, insisting she deserved to look properly taken care of. Sheila felt like she had finally entered the life she believed was meant for her. Money followed affection. Chief paid her rent in a better area, bought her a car, and transferred large sums into her account without explanation. Sheila stopped remembering her past. Poverty became a distant memory she did not want to visit. She did not think of consequences. She only enjoyed the now. One evening, Sheila suddenly remembered the 6-month renewal. A cold shiver ran down her spine. She had almost forgotten Mama's warning, the one about returning to maintain the charm. Her hands trembled as the thought sank in. I need to go back, she whispered to herself. Sheila hesitated for a moment, but the fear of losing everything she had gained pushed her forward. I'll go, she said quietly. At that moment, the warning felt distant, almost insignificant, compared to the luxury and attention she was enjoying. She believed she still had control. 6 months passed faster than she expected. When Sheila returned to Mama, she noticed the place felt darker than before. Mama's face was serious. This time, there was no small bottle, no simple instruction. Instead, Mama spoke words that made Sheila's blood run cold. To keep him, Mama said, you must sleep in a coffin for 3 nights. Fear wrapped around Sheila's heart like chains. She begged for another option, her voice shaking. Mama shook her head slowly. To claim this life, you must prove your courage. There is no other path. You must face death itself. That night, as Sheila agreed with tears in her eyes, Mama led her into a small dark room. In the center was a wooden coffin. The sight alone made Sheila's knees weak. Mama told her she would sleep inside it for 3 nights. No light, no phone. The coffin was opened and Sheila climbed in. The smell inside was unbearable. It smelled like rot and damp earth. When the lid was closed, darkness swallowed her completely. Her breathing became fast. She pressed her hands against the wood, fighting the urge to scream. She did not sleep at all that first night. The second night was worse. The room was silent at first. Then she began to hear sounds, slow scratching, faint whispers, movements she could not explain. She told herself it was fear playing tricks on her mind, but her body trembled uncontrollably. Her heart beat painfully in her chest. She cried until her eyes burned. By the third night, Sheila was exhausted. Her body ached. Her mind felt weak. The whispers returned, closer this time. She could not tell where they were coming from. She felt something cold brush against her arm, even though she was alone in the coffin. She closed her eyes and prayed, not with faith, but with desperation. When the coffin was finally opened after the third night, Sheila collapsed. Mama watched silently as Sheila gasped for air. The ritual was complete. Mama warned her again that the renewal must never be delayed in the future. Sheila nodded weakly. At that moment, she would have agreed to anything. After the ritual, everything intensified. Chief became more attached. He spent more money. He transferred millions into her account, bought more properties, and spoke of her as if she was the center of his life. Sheila felt untouchable. She convinced herself that whatever she had gone through was worth it. Weeks turned into months, and months into years. Sheila continued the ritual, indulging in the wealth, attention, and luxuries that had once only existed in her dreams. Over time, comfort replaced caution. Slowly, she stopped thinking about Mama or the warnings she had once feared. She became so absorbed in the enjoyment of her new life, parties, trips, shopping sprees, that she completely forgot about the usual 6-month renewal. Completely lost in her indulgence, weeks had passed beyond the 6-month mark since her last renewal. Then she noticed it, a persistent foul odor clinging to her no matter how much she bathed, accompanied by rashes spreading across her private areas. At first, she blamed it on stress or sweat. She bathed more, used expensive soaps, Arabian perfumes, oils. Nothing worked. The smell grew worse. People started enacting. Friends covered their noses. Strangers shifted away from her. Even in air-conditioned rooms, the smell followed her. Sheila panicked. Without thinking, she rushed to Mama's place, hoping somehow there might still be a way to fix it. Her body shook as she fell to her knees. "Please," she begged, voice cracking. "I forgot. I didn't mean to. I forgot the renewal. Can you help me?" Mama looked at her silently, then slowly shook her head. Her voice was firm. "The renewals are exact, 6 months to the day, not before, not after. You have delayed. You broke the agreement. There is no remedy." Sheila's heart sank deeper than ever before. Worried and trembling, Sheila left Mama's compound and headed straight to the hospital. Every step felt heavier than the last. She tried to steady her shaking hands as the nurse took samples and ran tests. Hours crawled by, each second dragging her closer to the truth she feared. When the doctor finally returned, his expression was grave, his eyes holding the weight of bad news. Sheila felt her stomach drop, her heart pounding so loudly she thought it would burst. The words hit her like a hammer. The results were positive. She was diagnosed with HIV. Her world shattered in an instant. Panic and regret crashed over her, sharp and unforgiving. The full weight of her choices hit her like a hammer. It suddenly dawned on her she had been sleeping with Chief without any caution, blinded by the luxury, the gifts, the attention. She had ignored protection, ignored responsibility, all for the sake of indulgence. And now she realized the bitter truth. Chief also had other women, other girls he was seeing while she lived in his shadow of wealth and desire. She felt weaker and smaller. Reality was setting in. Chief began to change almost immediately. He had not noticed the smell before,
he was under the charm. But now, with the magic fading, reality was surfacing. He no longer saw the woman he had been enchanted by. His calls became fewer, his visits grew rare. The smell had grown impossible to ignore. Even her colleagues recoiled, and Chief could no longer pretend it wasn't there. He dismissed her from work and stopped spending on her entirely. It was as if she had never existed. Sheila realized what had happened. The charm was fading, and without renewal, she was no longer the woman he was enchanted by. Desperate, weak, and broken, Sheila returned to Mama one last time, begging for another chance. Mama's face was cold. She shook her head slowly. The agreement was broken. Spirits now claim what is old. There is no reversal. The smell, the sickness, the rejection, they are yours to bear. Sheila's pleas fell on deaf ears. She left Mama's compound empty-handed. No charm, no protection, no hope. Her health continued to decline. Money dwindled quickly as she paid for medications, hospital visits, and basic survival. Properties were sold. The car was gone. Luxury vanished faster than it had appeared. Alone in her small apartment, Sheila thought of her past. She remembered Kiki, an old friend from her struggling days who had always warned her about shortcuts, about sleeping with men in exchange for money and luxury, and about spiritual dangers. Sheila had laughed at her back then. Now, shame and desperation drove her to visit Kiki. When Sheila told her story, she expected judgment. Instead, Kiki listened quietly, held her hand, and offered compassion. She did not condemn her. She only said she was sorry Sheila had suffered so much. Kiki took Sheila to her pastor. The pastor prayed over her seriously, encouraging her to continue medical treatment and reminding her that healing required obedience, faith, and responsibility. With consistent prayer and care, the strange body odor reduced gradually. It did not disappear completely, but it became manageable. Sheila survived, but survival came with a heavy price: regret. She returned to nothing. No chief, no luxury, no shortcuts, only lessons. Every day, she lived with the weight of her choices, wishing she had listened earlier. Time passed, and Sheila learned how to live again, though not the way she once imagined. She continued her medical treatment faithfully. She moved to a smaller place and found a modest job. It paid little, but it was honest. Kiki remained by her side. She encouraged her, prayed with her, and reminded her that while the past could not be erased, the future could still be shaped. Sheila told her story to younger girls, encouraging them to tread gently.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories like this.